This will be Q&A at 280 words per minute, and I will be doing the questions. Ready? Begin. Good morning.
Good morning.
What is your full name?
Albert Gallo.
What is your date of birth?
9/14/1952.
What is your address?
118 Rosewood Road in Hampton, New Jersey.
Is it your understanding that you are here today as the corporate representative of Palmer Grubbs Corporation?
I understand I'm here as the corporate representative for Palmer Grubbs LLC.
And I understand that Palmer Grubbs LLC has had multiple variations of its name during the course of its history. If I say Palmer Grubbs or Grubbs, will you understand that to be the same company?
Yes.
I have marked the notice of deposition and subpoenaed ducis tecum of the designee of Palmer Grubbs Corporation as Exhibit 1.
Okay.
Have you reviewed this notice prior to coming here today?
I have.
We have designated certain topics about which we'd like to question the corporation, that being Palmer Grubbs LLC, and Palmer Grubbs LLC has designated you as the person most knowledgeable to testify regarding those topics, correct?
Yes.
Is there a topic listed for discussion in the notice marked as Exhibit 1 that you feel that you are not the most knowledgeable to testify?
No, I think that there are topics that I have really deep knowledge and others that, it's more superficial, but I can't think of anyone that it would be better to ask the questions of.
Okay, and you understand that you are here to speak on behalf of that corporation named Palmer Grubbs LLC today, correct?
Yes.
Did you bring any documents with you today?
I brought the notice, which I provided to you, and I also brought a copy of my CV.
Do you mind if we mark your CV as Exhibit 2?
I brought a copy for you.
Thank you. I assume that you personally made the document?
I did, and it hasn't been updated or revised since the last real corporate job I had.
Okay, do you see on page 7 of the notice of deposition marked as Exhibit 1 the section listing documents to be produced?
Page 7?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you brought with you today any documents responsive to those requests?
No, I have not brought any documents with me today other than the notice and my resume.
And why not?
Well, first of all, I don't have documents per se. I rely on counsel for that, and I believe that many of the issues that are contained here have been provided to you, and I can't tell you exactly when or how, but I know that there were many exhibits provided to you in this matter.
Now, Mr. Gallo, I understand that you have previously been deposed many times, correct?
I have.
I do not plan to go through a lot of the same areas about which you have already testified on behalf of Grubbs, so I'm going to focus my questions as much as I can to the issues that we are talking about in this case, all right?
That's fine.
Do you agree that you stand by your statements made in your prior testimony and that I can consider those statements accurate so that I don't have to question you again on topics on which you have already been questioned?
Generally, I would agree. I mean, they're truthful answers. That's not to say that over the course of the last few years that I have not gotten smarter on a particular topic, but I generally stand by my testimony.
Fair enough. Did you do anything to prepare for the deposition?
I went through the notice, I went through some discovery that we had responded to, and I had an opportunity to glance at some of the testimony of the plaintiff. It was rather long. I think it was like 600 pages. I didn't read it all, but I did kind of skim through it a bit.
Did you review the deposition transcript of a non-party witness named Gerald Morgan in this matter?
Yes, I did receive a copy of that, and once again, I don't recall it being nearly as long, but I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. I did kind of flip through it.
What did you learn from your review of the plaintiff's deposition transcript?
Not really very much. I mean, there are certain aspects of some of his responses that I don't agree with. There are others that I think is a fair representation. I mean, on balance, there are things that I agree with and some that I don't, but there weren't any glaring issues in my mind.
Okay, we'll go through some of the disagreements later.
But again, I didn't read it verbatim.
Okay.
I looked through it, and there are a few things that I said, gee, I don't really remember it quite that way.
And did you learn anything by reviewing Mr. Morgan's deposition testimony?
Not really.
Did you review any deposition testimony from prior corporate representatives or persons designated to testify on behalf of Palmer Grubbs LLC or its predecessor?
For this matter?
Yes.
No.
Have you reviewed any deposition or trial testimony of any previous corporate representative or other person designated by Palmer Grubbs LLC or any of its predecessors in preparation for your role as corporate representative?
I mean, I've seen other corporate rep depositions, not all, but there's quite a few that I have seen over the years.
Do you recall any specific witness whose deposition testimony you reviewed?
I think there was one of Mr. Farrell, who was an attorney and designated corporate representative going back several years. I believe I saw some from a Mr. Briggs, and I'm thinking I might have seen one from a Robert Neely. Those are the only ones that come to mind. There may be more, but those are the ones that I recall.
Now, you're currently the president of Palmer Grubbs LLC, correct?
That's right.
You've been the president of Palmer Grubbs LLC since May 2011, correct?
Yes.
Are you currently paid $14,000 per month for litigation consulting on behalf of Palmer Grubbs LLC?
I'm paid $14,000 a month to serve as president, and part of that duty is to support litigation.
You're the only officer of Palmer Grubbs LLC currently, correct?
That's right.
Palmer Grubbs LLC currently has no employees, correct?
That's right.
Grubbs currently doesn't own any buildings or machinery, correct?
That's right.
And Palmer Grubbs LLC is currently owned by a settlement trust, correct?
That's right.
What is the name of the settlement trust?
I don't know, and actually I don't know that it's owned by the settlement trust. I'm not sure I understand the structure.
Approximately how many times have you testified on behalf of Palmer Grubbs LLC and or its previous names in asbestos litigations, be it trials or depositions?
Approaching 50, perhaps?
Okay, what year did you start testifying in this regard?
About 2 years before I became president of Palmer Grubbs, so 2009, I believe.
Now, I understand that you started at Grubbs in 1970 as a lab technician at the Corporate Research Center in New Jersey, correct?
That's correct.
And this research center was physically large, correct? How would you describe the Corporate Research Center?
It was a facility that had 4 or 5 buildings. Generally, each of the buildings had some specialized technical bias. For example, one was an experimental experimental foundry. Another dealt with machining, and another one with railroad products. There was another one called the Engineering Test Center, which was where we ran tests on brakes. And then there was a building that I was in called the Chemical Laboratory.
What kind of things went on in the chemical laboratory?
We formulated and fabricated experimental brake lining.